Okay, so I'm starting on a new little section. What I'm going to be doing is a dinosaur egg. Just laying a light coat over what I have here. This is going to be an Oviraptor, which basically comes down to the meaning egg stealer. I did one detailed Oviraptor many years ago, and decided to use another one. This is going to be a baby, so some of the edges are going to be softened. Now, what I'm going to do is just now, this is kind of wet on wet, so I'm kind of giving this a little camouflage texture. And it gets smaller. And I'll go into this in more detail as time goes on. And have it breaking through. And I'm going to connect up the dinosaur to the roots of my fern. Now, this is just me being what I want to do. I have nobody telling me you can't do it. So now it got a bad rap. The Oviraptor and a Protoceratops, which looks like a Triceratops with no horns, it was like the first Triceratops or species. They caught them like in a battle over a nest, but they assumed that it was the Protoceratops eggs, and it was the Oviraptor, that's why I got the name, stealing the eggs. So okay, so I did some extra stuff. What I'm doing now is just kind of following the patterns. And I'll change things up. I'm going to make this kind of covered in these little root system is going to be digging into the egg, and I'll define that a little bit later. And this should cover a lot of different things, but I'm just a continuation of what is going on here. Some people may say, why do you have an egg attached? And basically it's because I wanted to. It's not going to affect anybody. I'm not doing a commission, which I stopped doing many years ago. I'm just painting for pleasure, and whatever pops into my head, that's what it's going to be. No longer a educator, well, in a classroom I should say. It's just, you can say I'm still using the same techniques and as for the ferns. So I'm zooming in really tight. And I'm going to be starting to work on the Oviraptor. If I could find the picture I did long ago, I'll put it in there. But I'm going to be softening some edges of the raptor and defining that. Okay, so I did go into the Oviraptor a little bit more and added some detail. This is really a time-consuming thing, and it would take much more time than I could put on there to make a video. So I kind of just, I'm going to go in with the claws. This whole thing is going to be wrapped around in vines. I'm just doing a light wash. I'll add textures and whatever I need to do to satisfy what was in my mind. Now, I gotta emphasize, not everything I do works out. It's kind of the nature of watercolors. That's why it's a love-hate relationship. You know, I love what I can do with it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a painful thing. Now, I'm going to have to say something that it's going to be hard for you to deal with, because I've been there many years ago, 10, 20 years ago, where I get to a point where it's not working. And so many times I threw away what I was working on. And, you know, it's just the way things are, because watercolors is not too forgiving. That's why people don't like using watercolors, or just like doing the quick watercolor thing. And I learned something. If you think you failed and it's horrible and it's not going to work out, what do you got to lose? Keep pushing it as far as you can. I don't know, I can't really tell you how many times I went into something and started getting to a point where it's like, oh, this is totally unworkable. And all of a sudden I kept working, blending, adding, trying to subtract, adding colors. And all of a sudden that failure started to work. And if you can do that, your work will improve, because not only will you have more of a success rate, you will learn so much in the pain of trying to save it, because you'll learn that some things work and some things won't work. Now this is so microfine. I don't really like working this small, but the subject matter of the ferns was not going to be very big. So I just decided to expand on it. And I wasn't sure if it was going to work or not either. So now I'm just going to pull out some color, like a highlight for the hands. And this requires just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I could see right here on this part, it just needs to be lightened up for the highlights. I have some little small little things happening here, but it's always going back and forth, back and forth. And this egg is going to almost disappear with the vines, but this white will eventually fade out, and I will need to go back in it several times, and that's where the layering process comes in. but each layer adds more to it. And it's just plugging away, plugging away. But this is why some people hate watercolors. And I was one of those people. I could do things with acrylics. I could do anything with acrylics, but it was like, oh, no, forget about this stuff. And it just takes time. Never give up. You'll see improvements over time. It's never going to be like some instant growth. Well, there's a possibility some people will experience that. Now, even though this white looks really bright in here, it will fade. And I will have to go back. But, you know, just for a size reference, I'm using the quarter there to, you can see there's a lot of detail in there. Anyway, that's where I'm going to stop. Okay, just another update. Did some more detail work. This will be a quick scan down to the, and then I'll get closer for the detail work. So this is the concept I had in mind. Now, funny thing is, I'm using an Oviraptor, which means egg stiller, which I mentioned previously, as the main subject. So, yeah. Hello, I'm Steve Melendres, a model maker, illustrator, scientific illustrator, sculptor, design natural history museum in Los Angeles. Done a lot of different things, but I'm going to be doing watercolor demonstrations of the techniques I've developed over the years, and it's going to go from a lot of different directions. And also I'm going to be doing videos, I call them video posters for my daughter, so a lot of stuff that I can leave to my daughter about her crazy dad. So I'm taking a lot of different directions, but mainly three. So anyway, that's my introduction that I'm going to attach to everything I'm doing now, so I don't have to repeat this.